Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Holly Hughes, and I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at BAI. It's our mission at BAI to provide actionable insights that help financial services leaders make smart business decisions. And we do this by providing powerful tools, meaningful connections, and relevant content, including the insights that will be shared on today's webinar. Uniquely tied to our mission is the BAI Global Innovation Awards. Since 2011, the BAI Global Innovation Awards have recognized and honored leading financial services organizations who are changing the face of the industry, solving problems, adding value, and providing improved experiences that positively impact their customers, employees, and communities. Today, I'm pleased to be joined by a true innovator, Susan LaMonica. Susan is the Chief Human Resources Officer for Citizens Bank and a member of the bank's executive committee. She's responsible for developing and driving people strategies to support the Citizens Business Plan. She oversees a team of human resources professionals responsible for recruiting, leadership and talent development, learning, diversity, compensation and benefits, employee relations, and the Human Resources Service Center and payroll. And Susan is also responsible for corporate affairs and ESG. And Citizens was selected as the winner of the Human Capital category for the 2020 BAI Global Innovation Awards for their innovation, the Jamie Virtual Career Assistant. So we're so excited to have Susan take us through that journey of innovation, and we'll hear about some of those key successes and lessons learned along the way. So Susan, again, thanks so much for joining me today. I'm confident that the insights you're going to share will inspire others to think differently as they put together their own innovation initiatives into action within their own organizations. So let's go ahead and just jump right in. And I thought, some people may be aware of Jamie, Susan, but could you give us an overview of what it is and tell us why Citizens decided to launch this platform?
Yeah, no, I'm happy to, Holly, and thanks so much for having me, and quite frankly for recognizing Citizens and the work that we've done with Jamie. So simply stated, Jamie is a virtual career assistant, and it really is or I should say she is a key element to our talent acquisition strategy, and really our ability to create an impactful, personalized, and what we would call a modern candidate experience. So that's kind of one piece of it. And then the second piece, quite honestly, is about delivering efficiencies and new capabilities throughout the recruitment process. So we're very much, focused on, how do we improve that end-to-end candidate experience, and how do we do it in the most efficient way possible. And we have been working with Paradox, who's the creator of Jamie, and through a combination of off-the-shelf solutions as well as co-creating with them, we're trying to make Jamie as relevant as possible. And quite honestly, we refer to her as our newest member of the Citizens talent acquisition team. The platform itself uses a combination of natural language processing and robotic process automation, and Jamie converses with external as well as internal, both passive and active candidates. And the early returns have been really terrific. And again, if I come back to kind of the overarching objective being to improve the candidate experience and to really differentiate it, we feel that we've taken great strides by implementing this platform. And we're continuing, it's an ongoing effort, right? We're continuing to tweak it and improve it.
That's great. Can you talk a little bit more about what makes Jamie unique, maybe some of the main features of the platform?
Yeah, no, sure. I would say that, the first piece that I would reference is that, when a candidate interacts with Jamie, all of the content is Citizens branded content, right? So it doesn't feel generic in any way, shape, or form. And there's a whole range of features that we've developed. There's what we call Jamie Chat, which again leverages natural language processing and features colleague video responses, but effectively, what it's doing is providing guidance to candidates and colleagues on frequently asked questions on topics such as benefits, culture, the interview process itself. And we also have incorporated some topical inquiries. So as an example, during COVID, a lot of candidates had many questions about, our response to COVID, as well as a response to DE&I. And so we've used Jamie as, we've used a chat feature to really, quite honestly, help to make the whole candidate experience much more efficient and effective. So the chat feature is one feature. The other is job search functionality, again, available to both internal and external job seekers. And it really seeks to understand what's a candidate's preference in terms of the kind of job that they're seeking, the location, and then it matches them with available positions at the bank. A third feature is what we call Jamie Scheduler. And about 95% of our interviews with our recruiters are scheduled through Jamie, which has, we talk about efficiency as being one of the objectives, has made this process much more efficient. And you can imagine as a candidate goes through the scheduling process, there's a lot of back and forth, there's exchange of emails. Candidates oftentimes have to change appointments. This Jamie now handles all of that for us. And what we've seen is a 40% reduction in no-shows, which has really been quite remarkable. We've also recently launched a employee referral process, again, leveraging Jamie. And this was a co-created solution with the Paradox team and has greatly enhanced the efficiency and the effectiveness of our employee referral process. In fact, we've seen over a 140% uptick in employee referrals because it's just so much simpler and easier. And then the other thing, and then I'll pause, the other thing that we've implemented is Jamie's, what we call Jamie's feedback, which is really collecting feedback from the candidates at various points through the process, so that we can really intervene just in time to ensure that candidate experience is really a positive one. And if we see that something is going off the rails, so to speak, we can quickly intervene.
That's great. Yeah, a lot of value, a lot of impact for sure. Really interesting to see all the different ways that you're using her beyond just, maybe some of the obvious things. And Susan, I know you mentioned that you have a partner, technology partner that you're working with. Can you talk a little bit more about that? How you're working with them and that collaboration with within the Own Citizens team as well?
Yeah, no, I mean, Paradox, and let me take a step back. When we were going through the RFP process, I mean, we had a pretty clear vision in terms of what we wanted to build and the kind of candidate experience that we wanted to create. And we really were looking for a partner who was a leader in the thinking in this space, and one that, quite frankly, had a vision for the future. And so we were very much interested in selecting a partner that would work with us in developing and building out our vision and having the flexibility to do so. Oftentimes, when you select partners, you're stuck with their solution, right? And there's not the opportunity to co-create. And we've had a lot of success in working with partners who are willing to kind of co-create with us. So we did select Paradox, and they are a top-notch organization, have been recognized in a lot of circles as being a real leader in what I would call conversational AI. And as I said, we've worked to kind of co-create certain elements of the platform. I would say enhance elements of the platform. And we've also used elements of the platform in ways that were not originally intended by the Paradox team. So we've developed kind of some of our own use cases for the capability. So one example is, which I didn't mention earlier, but they have an event management portion or module, I would call it, to the platform, which enables us, if we're running a career fair, either internally, externally, candidates can sign up and can engage with us through this event management platform. We have used that platform along with their campaign module in order to establish what we're calling an office hours program for our internal candidates. And it's through that office hours program that internal folks can sign up for career counseling. And so, we've started to pivot some of our recruiters to focus on, providing career advice and direction to our internal folks. And again, we've leveraged the platform to help to facilitate that.
Yeah, it sounds like a great collaboration, and I love that you learned from each other, and maybe challenged each other to think about that functionality in different ways, all for the greater benefit of the product, which is excellent. Now, I'm sure it wasn't all smooth sailing. Innovation certainly has its bumps in the road and challenges. Could you talk about maybe some of those challenges that you experienced and how you overcame them during the process?
Yeah. No, I don't want to paint a picture that everything was, peaches and cream. It was a lot of hard work, a lot of iteration. I think probably one of the first things the hurdles we had to get over was we had to get really clear on, how do machines and people work together? What does that collaboration look like? And how do we integrate Jamie into our daily routines and, quite frankly, transfer some of the administrative tasks and trust her to effectively accomplish some of the administrative tasks. So, we did a lot of change management work with our own internal team, and to get people comfortable that this is not about, replacing folks. It really is about how can we enhance the experience and how can we recapture some capacity so that our recruiters can really be spending their time on more value-added activities that, quite frankly, only humans can perform, right? So, connecting with prospective candidates. I mentioned earlier the career counseling piece that we're now offering as a pilot to internal candidates. All of that has been enabled because we've been able to recapture some capacity. So some of it was just dealing with getting our own folks kind of over the natural trepidation that I think exists. And then I think the other thing is, balancing and I'm not sure this was an obstacle, but it was something that certainly we worked through, which is, balancing innovation with rigor around data controls and compliance and ensuring that, we're being quite mindful as we're introducing this new platform of those things.
Yeah, I think that, change and, the fear from people internally is very real. So it sounds like you guys did a good job of helping them see it as additive versus taking away, because I think we see that oftentimes in innovation, and especially when you're trying to bring technology into something that was formerly human-led and managed. So glad to see that you were able to work through that.
Yeah, and the other thing, Holly, that I would just add to that is, one of the things that I think was, an eye opener for folks is, when we brought Jamie on board, like a human, we had to train her.
Yeah.
Right? And so I think oftentimes people feel, you drop in this technology and it just kind of works. Well, no, not really. Humans are required to, quote unquote, train the bot, right? And so, there was close to, 500 responses that our team and our recruiters and our coordinators, et cetera, had to craft. And we're still refining those responses. And, we look at that data quite closely to see, in fact, I was doing this morning and just kind of, testing out some of the things, some of the functionality. And, we're always trying to tweak and improve, but it takes a person, right? Or a number of people in order to make the AI work.
Yeah, great point. Absolutely. And Susan, you talked about a number of things, the features and benefits, and how it's helped the talent acquisition team delivered an improved candidate experience. Anything else you would add there in terms of how it's improved the overall experience?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, we often talk about, creating a frictionless experience for candidates, and we really do think about candidates as not only potential and prospective colleagues, but as customers, right? So we want to take the same degree of care. And even if a candidate doesn't go through this process and end up with an offer of employment, we're hoping that they'll consider doing business with us if they don't already, right? So
Sure.
we are seeing some real benefits in terms of that improved experience, some of which I mentioned before. But, if I could just add to that, what people are experiencing now are, real-time responses through the chat capability, through the job matching capability or functionality, I should say. We've provided information and insights or responses, I should say, to over 140,000 inquiries, provided, over 21,000 job recommendations, and we've scheduled over 15,000 interviews.
Wow.
And what we've been able to do is, to do all of that much more quickly and much more easily. And it's candidate directed, right? So we're available for the candidate 24/7. When they are ready to engage, we're ready to engage. So it's been quite helpful. And we do measure our candidate experience. And when we started this process, we had a candidate satisfaction rate of high 50s, 57%, and we're now at 75% with a goal of moving to 90%.
Wow, that's excellent. Yeah, and I think, speaking about measurement, I think that is one of the things that we see with the people that submit nominations for the Global Innovation Awards, and even just, our people that are in innovation groups within their organization. Sometimes measuring success does look different, especially at a bank, than, all the traditional metrics that we're used to seeing. Anything else that you would add there in terms of, how you measured success, and any other, you've shared some great statistics, any other, statistics you would share or success measurements that you've seen so far?
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned the satisfaction, the candidate satisfaction, which certainly we're quite proud of. And just for context, we piloted this in late 2019 and then fully rolled it out kind of the middle of 2020. So we haven't been at this that long. So I feel really good about the progress that we've made. One of the other kind of interesting things that we've seen, and we often laugh about this, is Jamie's received over 13,000 thank you comments from job seekers,
Yeah.
which I think is a real testament to the Paradox platform and how natural the interaction feels. It doesn't feel like you're interacting with a chatbot per se. The other thing that we're very much interested in is what's that click to apply rate. So what we have found is that Jamie's job matching capabilities have really enhanced the click-through rate. So we've actually seen a 50% uptick versus what we had seen previously, which is a real positive. And it's also, in terms of just saving candidates time and saving recruiters time, it has saved us internally hundreds and hundreds of hours in responding to candidates. And it's enabled the recruiters, when they have a conversation with the candidate, to really get to the meat of the conversation and kind of dispense with some of the things that, quite frankly, are more easily answered, quite frankly, via Jamie. So it has saved us, 10 minutes per interview in scheduling time, which, at this point, kind of to date is, close to or well over 2,500 hours.
Wow.
And the other thing, the time to schedule is another area that we have been paying quite close attention to. And with the automated scheduling for recruiters, we went from an average of 72 hours to less than 30 minutes via text. So that's, when you think about it in terms of time to fill, I mean, that's 3 days off of your time to fill. So all really important. And as you know, in this hot talent market, time is important because
Absolutely.
Candidates have multiple offers. People are moving very quickly. So the quicker and the quicker and less painless that we can make the process, it's going to enhance our pull-through rate.
Absolutely. Yeah, it all adds up, and it's certainly exponential when you look at the volume of folks that you're hiring based on the size of your organization. We've talked a lot about it, being for those external users, but people who are applying for a position at Citizens, but you mentioned existing employees using it as well. Anything else there that you would want to add in terms of how existing employees are leveraging the tool?
Existing employees are, we're very much focused on trying to help to support our internal colleagues in finding opportunities within the organization, and it's been a key priority for us, and therefore, we are leveraging Jamie, as I said earlier, to provide access to career counseling, and to launch this office hours program for folks. I already mentioned the employee referral process, but it's also been a real tool for managers. Mm-hmm. So as hiring managers are thinking about the staffing process, they can use Jamie to help to answer some of their questions in terms of, how to, what's the process? How do I start a requisition? What are some of the resources that are available to me as a hiring manager as I go into the market to find talent? So there's a number of different angles that, it's the candidate and the colleague, but it's also the manager.
Sure. Another efficiency play, because I'm sure it's those same types of questions that keep coming into HR that you can just efficiently answer. That's great. Another really important topic in the area of talent is diversity, equity, and inclusion. Certainly, very top of mind, high priority. How has Jamie been used to address Citizens' approach to growing in these areas?
Great question, and certainly very timely. There's a couple things that I would call out. One is, and I mentioned it earlier, we're getting increasing questions from candidates around what is our philosophy, what is the programming, what's our position on DE&I, and specifically, what are the social equity investments that we're making. And so we are using Jamie as a vehicle to help us get that message out to candidates, number one. The second thing that I would mention is, as we know, we all hear about the digital divide. There was a recent study by Pew Research Center that, indicated that 82% or 8 in 10 Caucasians report owning a desktop or a laptop computer, compared with 58% of Blacks and 57% of Hispanics. And mobile devices play a much larger role for that latter population, for our Black and Brown communities, when it comes to online access to options. And so Jamie is a mobile first solution, which I did not mention earlier. Mm-hmm. And that is really, I think a significant or major piece of our ability to market and to interact with diverse populations, which we didn't have that capability before, quite honestly. And we've also used Jamie I mentioned, to schedule various career events, but we really have upped our activity at events that really focus some of the underrepresented and underserved communities. And again, we're leveraging Jamie for that.
That's great. Yeah, access being such a key, baseline strategy for sure. That's great. Well, Susan, one more question for you.
Mm-hmm, sure.
As you look to the future, so you've accomplished a lot in a short period of time. Very, important to note. Any plans to expand Jamie's capabilities here in the future?
Yeah, the short answer is yes. We've taken kind of a minimally viable product approach in launching Jamie. And so we've continued to add and refine, and as I mentioned earlier, find new use cases for her capability. A couple of things that are on the docket, and I mentioned the desire to move that candidate experience score from where it stands now, around 75% to 90%. I think one of the key capabilities that we will be introducing later this year is a capability or functionality that will allow the candidate to know where they are in the process. So often some of the feedback that we get from candidates is, it's like a black hole. I don't know where I am. Tell me where I am in the process. And so we will be introducing, this new capability that, I would almost call it like a candidate care module that really will enable the candidate to know exactly where they are, what to expect next, and give us an opportunity to have multiple interactions with the candidate along the way. But the second thing I mentioned, the efficiency that we have seen from the automated scheduling for the recruiters. We're going to be introducing the same functionality to our hiring managers so that interviews or meetings with the hiring managers, Jamie will also handle. And again, I think that will further enhance the experience for the candidate, make it easier, but certainly for our managers, I think it'll be a big lift, a big relief, I should say. And then the last thing that I would say, and probably my team won't be happy with me sharing this because we're still in the exploratory phases, but we are looking at using Jamie to collect information from candidates and then use that information to pre-populate an application. So there's various points along the way where we get information from candidates. And so we're looking at, can we store that information and then can we use that information to help to pre-populate an application, again, to make it as seamless and as frictionless as possible. But that's something that we're evaluating at this point.
Well, Susan, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your innovation journey. Certainly a lot of exciting work done so far, a lot more to come. And thanks to all of you who have joined us and are listening in. You can learn more about the BAI Global Innovation Awards and the 2020 finalists and winners on our website, which is bai.org. And you can also find more information on the 2021 program via our website. We'll be accepting nominations for the 2021 awards through August 23rd. And I really encourage you to share your innovation story with us so that you can gain recognition for the important work that you're doing and also inspire others in the industry on their innovation journey. So this concludes our session today. Thanks so much for joining us and enjoy the rest of your day.